Alright. See if the stream's up and running. Should be. Hopefully. There it is though. Alright, audio is working as it should be. Stream's up, chat's up, we're all good to go. Shouldn't be too far away, folks, from the start of this one. We're set to have 17 drivers for this event. We're only waiting on one. Once they arrive, we'll get this underway. But for now, we'll just chill out. Listen to the theme music. Wait for the beginning of qualifying. And go away. I have no idea why they even bother with that prompt. Makes no sense to me. And it's just this unnecessary pop-up. Yeah. What's the point? I don't think there was a single voice chat issue in the previous titles, but here it is, just popping up every so often. Quickly have a look at Discord. Saucy is the one that's missing. Is he? Yeah, okay, interesting. Alright. I think we might be waiting a couple of extra minutes. See if Saucy can arrive on time. If not, then we're down to 16, which is, as KD pointed out to me earlier, the same size field that we had in Austria. So, that's alright. Seems that somebody has given the ready up signal, so alright, we're not waiting, we're going. When the timer hits 0, I'll start up the intro as per normal. Hello everyone and welcome to round 2 of the America's Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and for tonight we'll be competing at Bahrain International Circuit for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Constructed in 2004 and designed by track-making Supremo Herman Tilke, this 3.36 mile, 15-turn racetrack is steadily becoming a Monday classic in the world of motorsport. Traditionally, it's used as one of the season opening rounds in the Formula One World Championship, and here on Race Spec, it's no different. Bahrain is typically considered as one of the better circuits for racing on the calendar, thanks to the 3 DRS zones that lead into the prime overtaking spots of Turn 1, Turn 4, and Turn 11. Drivers can also try and challenge for passes into the hairpin of Turn 8 and potentially into the main technical area of the circuit of Turns 9 and 10. Similarly to the Red Bull Ring from last week, being a well-used racetrack in online league racing, qualifying should hopefully be quite competitive. Hopefully with that in mind, we get to see a fantastic show. But before we focus on qualifying, there is just a little bit of news to go through first from last week's race in Austria. There were no time penalties dished out by the stewards post-race. As a result, the final finishing positions remain completely unchanged. Axis in the AlphaTauri is leading the way after winning in Austria. He's on 30 points with Blockman on 23 in P2, followed by Nanda in the Haas on 21. In the Constructors, AlphaTauri are leading the way after Axis's victory on 34 points, followed by Haas on 30 and Alpine on 23. And that's really about it in regards to the news. We can now focus here on this qualifying session. We've got drivers moving out on track already. Only one reserve driver, that is Vitals, in the Aston Martin. The rest are full-timers. The first car out on track is Jay. He's got a Haas closing on him pretty quickly. That is Captain Schmeg. And he will actually pass the Williams to move in front. He'll be the first driver to attempt a flying lap around this 3.3 mile racetrack. Both Elite Series and Pacific Tier 1 turned out some pretty interesting races. There was also a fair chunk of drama, particularly in Tier 1. So I'm hopeful for something interesting tonight with America Series. They always tend to put on a pretty decent show. Just to have a look as well, we got KD on the medium compound tyre, but everyone else is on the softs. Just having a look, because in Pacific Tier 1 and in Elite Series, a fair few drivers do their first flying laps on the intermediates, just so then they can try and save a set of soft compound tyres for the latter stages of qualifying, or maybe even the race. Captain Schmeg will head around the final corner and onto the main straightaway to begin his flying lap. Right on board, give you a tour of this 3.3 mile racetrack. Down the main straightaway towards turn 1, easily the best overtaking spot on the circuit. Barreling in at 202 miles an hour, bring it down to third gear and get back on the power and head up the hill and around turn 2 and into turn 3. A very tricky traction zone, those two corners, as we have DRS wide open heading into turn 4. Bring it down to fourth gear. Back on the power, nice and easy. This will complete the first sector, and now we head into the S's, turns 5, 6, and down into turn 7. Up towards the hairpin of turn 8. Bring it down to third gear again. Get back on the power, nice and easy. Eventually reaching full throttle, we'll head over the crest and down the hill into turns 9 and 10. Nice wide entry at 9 to try and open up turn 10 as much as possible. Get on the throttle as early as you can. Open DRS and floor it down the back straightaway. And heading towards turn 11. Chucking it in fourth gear, getting back on the power, up the hill and around the flat-out right-hander of turn 12. A notorious corner in previous games, a lot nicer in F123. We'll head around turn 13, a little wiggle as he applies the accelerator. Captain Schmeg has got two more corners to try and negotiate, turns 14 and 15. Bring it down to fourth gear, miss the apex by a little bit, and now we head around the little kink of turn 15 and head up towards the line. Captain Schmeg will set the benchmark, 1 minute 29.516. See how everyone else fares on their flying laps. Jay has invalidated. JBH is making his way through the final sector. We've got a couple of cars in front. Got two Alfa Romeos getting ready to finish their first flying laps. We'll stick with JBH though for the moment. Blockman jumps to the top with a 28.7. He is 8/10 clear of Captain Schmeg in P2. JBH jumps up to second with a 29.2. Rebel making his way into the middle sector S's. He'll be looking for a better race here in Bahrain compared to what happened over in Austria. Quite a dramatic accident between himself and Axis that ultimately resulted in his retirement. Speaking of which, our race winner from Austria has vaulted to the top, 1 minute 28.654. He's almost a 10th clear of Blockman in P2. Mr. Capone here making his way through the final two corners. See how the Red Bull driver fares. As he heads up towards the line, he will do a 29.7. Goes 6th fastest overall. KD down in 8th position rather, with the 29.9. He's done that on the medium compound tyre, so that's not a bad lap time on the harder of the two compounds available in qualifying. That's not bad at all, so he'll be looking pretty solid here. Rebel meanwhile jumps up to P2, 1 minute 28.694. He is 400ths of provisional pole position, so it's quite tight at the top, as I mentioned earlier. Being a well-used racetrack in league racing, qualifying should be quite competitive here at Bahrain. Now, Black Baller might have been impeded there a little bit by that Alfa Romeo. That'll be smoky as Drag King is in the pit lane. Mercedes driver heads down the main straightaway up towards the line. Set of 29.8. He goes into the top 10. Vitel's making his way back into the pits. Same with KD. He's run out of fuel. He makes his way in. Parker out on track. He's on an in-lap. Same with Black Baller. Capone's on an in-lap. Little Mick looks like he's on a flying lap. Currently P7 with a 29.6. Just a little over 1 second off provisional pole position. Around turn 2. Up the hill and around turn 3. He'll open DRS and head towards turn 4. Building up to a speed of 191 miles an hour. He brings it down to an apex speed of about 77 there at turn 4. Got nice rotation. The car looks stable and he's quick. He's up by 0.2 of a second to the first sector. Down into the hairpin at turn 8. Oh, flickering between the brake and the throttle there as the back end steps out. Keeps control of the car though. Still on a push lap. Brings it down to second gear. Haven't seen second used all too often there at turn 10. To be completely honest, in both Elite and Pacific Tier 1, almost every single driver used third gear through that corner. Didn't even bother to try and use first or second. Up towards the middle sector split for Mick. He's lost time, which isn't terribly surprising thanks to that mistake at turn 8. Let's see if he can't just string together this final sector. Chuck it into the final 2 corners and head up towards the line. Little Mick, it's been a tidy lap for about 2 sectors of it. He will improve by a 10th, set of 9.5. Yes, I have, Captain Jack. Although last night was pretty hectic with Pacific Tier 1. I'm quite enthusiastic about how competitive that tier has become. I'm looking forward to seeing what the races of the future give us. Because these first 2 rounds have been absolutely incredible in Tier 1. Plenty of drama, which, you know, is exciting, but it's not completely what you want to see. You want to see hard-fought racing. We saw a fair chunk of that last night. But unfortunately for the 2 at the front of the field, battling for the race win, they just went that little bit too far. And ultimately, the guy in third ended up winning the race. Meanwhile, Jay here is on a lap. And he's improved in the first sector. He's currently P5 with a 29.3. If he improves by a little over, oh actually a little under a 10th of a second, he can jump up to P4. Tidy run through the technical section of 9 and 10 as he heads down the back straightaway towards turn 11. Flat out here with DRS open. Entry speed 190 miles an hour. Apex speed just under 100. Heading up the hill and around turn 12 and into turn 13. Jay is up by a 10th of a second, so he's looking to gain a few places. Actually, no, gain 1 place, because I've just realised the gap between JBH and Blockman. That's a decent sized gap. That's 5 and a bit tenths of a second between P3 and 4. So Jay will be only looking to improve by 1 place, and he doesn't even finish the lap. He bails on it, so he's not happy, completely happy with that lap. Just goes back into pit lane. He'll get ready for another run. Yeah, Jack and Ryan took each other out on the final lap. Battling for the win. Well, they took each other out for the contention of the win. They were still running by the end of the race, but yeah, it was something. That final lap, couldn't quite believe it. Blockman heading into turn 1, brings it down to third gear, gets back on the power right at the apex. Climbing up the hill, round turns 2 and 3. Onto the straightaway, heading towards turn 4. KD on the soft tyre now. He's done a 28.7. He goes third fastest behind Axis and Rebel. Blockman, meanwhile, crosses the first timing intermediate. He's up by half a tenth. He needs to find a whole tenth to try and take provisional pole away from Axis. It's a tidy run through the hairpin at turn 8. The exit was a bit squirrely though, might have lost a little bit of time as he heads through turns 9 and 10. Third gear, modulating the throttle at the exit, trying not to get too much wheel spin as he heads onto the back straightaway, heading towards turn 11. Hard on the brakes, down to 4th gear, gets back on the power, eventually reaches full throttle. He'll head around turn 12, absolutely flat out around the right-hander. He's up by 46 thousandths to the mid-sector. I think he's actually lost time in the middle part of the lap. So this needs to be a pretty tidy final sector for Blockman if he wants to jump to the top of the board. Third gear, short shifting up to 4th as he heads on to the main straightaway. Is it enough for provisional pole for Blockman? It is. A 1 minute 28.609. He's ahead of Axis by half a tenth, and Axis is still in pit lane. Rebel, meanwhile, is on a pretty decent lap. He crosses the line and takes provisional pole away from his teammate. 1 minute 28.537 is his lap time. KD goes back into pit lane. Captain Schmeg has just improved. He's in the top 5. JBH is getting ready for a run. Capone as well. Black Baller on a flying lap. He's up by 0.3 of a second as he heads into the final part of the racetrack. Short shifting up to 4th gear, just like what we saw from Blockman from a few moments ago. Black Baller will cross the line. He won't improve. Actually lost time in that final sector, it seems. Found a fair chunk of time in the middle sector. It looked like he was up, but yeah, lost it all in the final part of the lap. Parker improves. He goes to P8. 29.5 is his lap time. He's second of pole position. Capone heading up the hill towards turn 4. See Black Baller getting well out of the way there. Refusing to give the Red Bull any assistance whatsoever. Into the into the middle sector, I should say. Capone is up by 0.3 of a second. That's a really healthy improvement in just one sector. Tidy run out of turn 8. Maybe a little bit squirrely just after the apex, but tidy nonetheless. Down to 2nd gear. Short shift up to 3rd. So we head on to the back straightaway. Those yellows are just Black Baller getting out of the way, doing a good job there. Capone into turn 11. It's back on the power, eventually reaches full throttle as he heads up the hill and around turn 12. What does the clock say to the middle sector split? He's up by 0.6 of a second, so he's looking at a low 29 here, which will push him up towards the top 5. 2 corners remain for the Red Bull driver. Barrels into 14, 3rd gear, short shifts up to 4th. Tidy run at the end of this lap. What will Capone do? It's a 29.1. He jumps to 5th position into the top 5. Jay out on track getting ready. Parker's on an in-lap. He's out of fuel. That's why yellow flags are being displayed. Smokey has just done a lap. 3rd place finisher from the Austrian Grand Prix. Nanda has been unable to put down a lap time as of yet. He's currently at the bottom of the board. Needs to try and put a legal lap together. Got 3.5 minutes left in this qualifying session. Nanda making his way into the middle sector. Apparently purple, but we'll see what he can do when the final lap time pops up. Nice and tidy out of turn 8. Not bothering to use any of the outside curb there. Just keeping it on the black stuff. That's where all the grip is. Down to 2nd gear. Does he short shift? He does eventually. Use 2nd gear for a long time there through turn 10. Trying to get as much rotation out of the car as possible. Down to 4th. Short shifting back up to 5th gear. Up the hill. Round turn 12. Nice and tidy so far from the Haas driver. Chucks it in to turn 13. Keeps it within the white lines. Doesn't run wide. 2 corners left for Nanda. 14 and 15. Down to 4th. Back on the power. Keeps it well within the white lines. So this will be a legal lap. He's It's going to be a 1 minute 29.2. He goes just behind his teammate Captain Schmeg, so P7 Fernando. KD on a flying lap, making his way round turn 2 and into turn 3. You'll open DRS and head towards turn 4. A little bit of traffic in front, but it shouldn't impede him. Round the right-hander, 4th gear, eventually reaching full throttle. He's up by a 1/10.5. Oh, he's impeded. Can you believe it? The AlphaTauri, who is that? It's Axis and KD. Yeah, I'd be pretty mad as well. He cuts the racetrack there at turn 8. Can you possibly believe it? Axis had no idea that the Ferrari was behind him and on a flying lap. That's going to be a post-race penalty for sure. I completely understand KD's frustration. Weaved across saying, hey, what the hell were you doing? Just sitting around in the middle of the road. Thankfully, it looks like he's got fuel and he's got enough time to do one more flying lap. Little Mick, his session might be done. He's saving battery. He might have enough time to do one more run, but it is going to be close. You can see Jay, he's saving up battery as well. Nanda's making his way back into the pit, so I think his qualifying... Oh no, he's got battery in hand. He'll do one more lap. Alright. A fair few drivers on one more run. Capone, I think, has just retired in the pit lane, so his qualifying session is over. And KD retires as well. So evidently he didn't have enough fuel for one more run. He's bailed on the lap. That's a shame. I thought KD would at least have the opportunity to have another go, but I guess not. Axis, meanwhile, making his way through turn 1. He's going to try and fight for pole position. Blockman's going to try and do the same. Rebel's trying to hold on to pole position. Blockman to the first timing split. Clock says he's up by 44 thousandths. Rebel, meanwhile, is up by 49 thousandths. Axis, making his way towards the first sector split, is down by 73 thousandths to the first sector. Blockman making his way towards turns 9 and 10. 6th gear, up to 7. Bring it down to 3rd. Hit the apex, get it around the corner. Very tidy stuff. What about Axis? Sends it in, down to 3rd. Clips the apex, gets back on the power. So a tidy run from Axis there. Rebel making his way through turn 11. His teammate just in front. Blockman to the middle sector split. Clock says he's up by 0.2 of a second. Rebel is up by 1/10 of a second. Axis, meanwhile, in the AlphaTauri, he's down by 600, so this needs to be a mega final sector from Axis if he wants to try and take pole position. Blockman, he'll be the first driver to cross the line. Can he take pole away from his teammate? He can with a 28.3. Rebel responds. It's not enough. Axis crosses the line. It's not enough from him either. Blockman will take pole position unless someone can improve dramatically right at the death of qualifying. And everyone's either completed their laps or moving back into pit lane. So there we are. Blockman will start from pole position. Rebel alongside him in P2. And Alpine 1-2 at the end of qualifying here in Bahrain. Made a mistake, Rebel. Unlucky. Still though, that was a fun end to qualifying. Top 3 closely bunched together. Of course, little bit of a sour taste left in the mouth after what happened to KD. He looked pretty quick out there. He was definitely in contention. But unfortunately, that opportunity was taken away from him. So, results from qualifying. Blockman P1, Rebel P2, and Alpine 1-2. The start of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Axis P3, KD P4, Little Mick P5, JP6, Capone 7, Captain Schmeg 8th, Nanda 9th. JBH rounds out the top 10. Black Baller P11, followed by Vitals in 12th. Parker P13, 55 Cent in 14th position, followed by Smokey, then Drag King at the back of the grid in 16th position. Not a bad field spread, only 1.5 seconds from the top of the board to the bottom, so that's not bad at all. Considering that as well, half a second separates P11 down to P16. That's not bad at all. The field spread is quite tight. It's good to see. Alright, race time. Now, here's a friendly reminder to everyone watching. Formation lap is turned off. So, we stuck with this view for a little while. Now, the drivers have been informed not to hit the ready up button too soon. A command will be given in the Discord to hit the ready up button. It's just to give the drivers enough time to mess around with setup, mess around with the fuel load, mess around with the strategy for this race. In both Pacific Tier 1 and in Elite, there's been a decent mixture of strategy, but the go-to tyre for the start of a race seems to be the hard compound tyre. Go long on the hards and then pit onto mediums for a nice fast end of the race. But I have seen drivers start on the soft tyre for this race, so it seems all three compounds have a degree of usefulness. But the obvious go-to is the hard tyre for the start of a race. Of course, if you want to be nice and aggressive, though, mediums are definitely a more tempting option to go with. And to no surprise, it's absolutely clear skies. I will treasure the day I see rain at Bahrain. After all my years doing commentary, all my years doing racing here, never once have I seen rain. I don't think I've rarely ever seen a cloud over this racetrack. Be quite an occasion if it ever happens with dynamic weather conditions, but I do actually think it's impossible. So I think that also is the reason why this race is so popular. No wet weather. It's always dry. Nice and consistent. Alrighty, here we go, folks. We have 5 red lights, and we're underway here in Bahrain. It's a nice start from Rebel in P2. He should take the lead as we head down towards turn 1. Axis will try and draw alongside as well, but it's the Ferrari of KD challenging for P2. 3 wide action there at turn 1. Capone's in the battle as we head through turn 2. Blockman hangs on to second. KD in third. Axis has had a horrid start. He's down to P6. As we now make our way into turn 4. Side by side. Collision! And around goes Axis! Around goes the race winner from the Red Bull Ring. 55 cents involved as well. The two drop down to the bottom of the order. So it's Rebel who leads. Blockman is second. Capone diving down the inside at turn 8. KD will have the inside line at 9. He's going to try and fight this. KD sends it in. And with the grip of the medium compound tyre, he gets in front. He moves to third. So plenty of drama on this opening lap here in Bahrain. Our race winner from last week, Axis, involved in an incident, is all the way down in 15th position. See, the position changes. Capone with a great start up 3. JBH up 4. Parker up 4. Drag King up 4. As Axis is recovering his way up through the field, he's up into 14th now. As we head around turns 14 and 15, heading on to the main straightaway. Running wide is somebody. That is Jay in the William. Oh, dearie me, a little bit of lag. I thought that might have been a collision as Black Baller disconnects from the session. Little Mick gets in front of Capone, so the McLaren driver is into 4th. Capone has a look down the inside, though. He's being aggressive. He wants to make full use of those medium compound tyres. Jay gets by Parker. That's for P8. Capone's got a run. Not using any battery, though. Not just yet. Doesn't go for the move here at turn 4. He stays behind. Captain Schmeg, Parker, side by side as we head out. Oh, and a big wiggle there for Captain Schmeg. Loses control but was able to gather it back up. He moves down to 10th position. JBH gets passed by Nanda. Jay is all over the Mercedes as we head through turn 8. Up the hill and over the crest. Down into turns 9 and 10. JBH hanging on. Jay, oof, that was close. Oh, Mick's around. Mick in the McLaren is around at turn 10. He drops down to P12. Have a look at the tyres. Man, this is vastly different to what I saw in the Pacific tiers. Everybody, just about everybody, is on the medium compound tyre for the start of this race. Nanda's on the softs. Little Mick and Smokey are on the hard tyre. Now, what have we got in terms of battling? We got this humongous midfield train being led by Capone in P4. Then we got the top three, Rebel, Blockman and KD. Blockman's the fastest of the trio so far, as DRS is now enabled. Nanda's closing in. Capone knows it, defends the inside line into one. Nanda tries to go right round the outside. It gives him the inside line at turn 2. Capone's wide. Nanda is through. That's a great move, utilising the pace of that soft compound tyre. Down into turn 4, dive bombing down the inside is JBH. It's tight, there's contact. We'll make our way through. So Nanda holding on to P4, JBH in P5. Axis moving up the board. 50 Cent, oh, he's out. Wait, what? What happened to him? He's just retired. He's voluntarily retired. Well, that will be some kind of post-race penalty for that, because that's a no-no here on Race Spec. Now, I'm going to interrupt myself because Black Baller did send a request for something, so I'll do this. Let's see here. Invites and requests. No, not here. Hang on. That one. Invite to game. Hopefully that works. Because, yeah, Black Baller DC'd. He sent an invite. A request for an invite. So there we go. As Nanda leaves the session, hopefully he can rejoin as soon as possible. So he's now going to drop down the order. All that hard work on the soft tyre is going to go away. JBH now takes fourth position. Blockman moves into the race lead. Rebel down to P2. Well, what's going on here? Side-by-side action through turn 1. Collisions are plenty heading through the hairpin as we go through turn 2 and around turn 3. Down the long straightaway towards turn 4. Captain Schmer getting by Parker. Drag King getting by Vitals. As we head into the S's. Down the hill. Through turn 7. Down the hill. Oh, and around goes Vitals. Big spin there for the Aston Martin driver. It's pointed back in the right direction. Quite a neat little spin. But he's all the way down in 14th position. Here's your top 2. Bit of a gap back to KED in 3rd position. Axis gets by the AI of Nanda. Hopefully he can find the way in. JBH got Jay right behind. Captain Schmeg gets by Parker. So we might keep our eyes on this battle. It's a pretty tight fight between Schmeg, Parker. Drag King is just behind. Capone has left the session. And he drops down through the order. Hold on. His car's way off the circuit. Did the AI do that, or did he just leave after that happened? I don't know. So much drama going on. Got people DCing everywhere. We've got collisions aplenty. Gee whiz. It's all kicking off here in Bahrain as Rebel retakes the lead. Keep our eyes on this, though. Big weaving about from Captain Schmeg, trying to break the toe. Parker having a little look down the inside. But Captain Schmeg is able to hang on to P6 for now. Parker's got a run, though, heading up towards turn 4. Down the inside. He gets in front. Captain Schmeg moves down to P7. He's now under attack from Drag King as we go through the S's. Down the hill into turn 8 we go. Yellow's out again. It's Vitals around. That's at turn 4. Pointed back, hopefully in the right direction, and gets going again. But now, with all this battling, Little Mick and Axis are closing in. Just in front, you can see J and JBH. It's P4 and P5. Then you got this whole midfield train, 6 cars, all nicely lined up. Oh, and around goes Parker! Collision between Parker and Drag King. Completely destroys the front wing on that Alfa Romeo. Parker rejoins down in P11 after that. Now, what an unfortunate set of circumstances for Drag King. Had nowhere to go. AlphaTauri stranded right in front of him. Thankfully, the silver lining to all of that is he's still running it around his little Mick. Oh my word. At the final corner, he's around. Drops down to P9. Smokey and Axis are now drag racing. Heading up towards turn 1. It's all kicking off. Incidents left and right. Round the outside looks Smokey. Axis gives him room as we head into turn 2. Smokey, with a bit of a moment there through the left-hander, is unable to attack Axis. Closes in, looks, dive bombs down the inside. He cuts the corner, they make contact. Smokey's in front. He has the inside line through turn 6. They make contact again. Axis gets back in front. Moves into P7. Little Mick now has an opportunity to get some DRS assistance, get back in the fight. Meanwhile, Jay still keeping JBH company as they go through turn 11. Half a second separating these two. JBH doing well to hang on to 4th. Jay doing well, staying 5th. Oh, but a wiggle there that will cost him time. Meanwhile, the top two, they're just slingshotting by each other every lap. We're going to see a change for the lead here. Yet Rebel will move out of the way. Blockman will move through, and Rebel will sit into the slipstream, follow his teammate. So they're working together, keeping KD at bay. KD really needs to think about an undercut strategy to try and challenge the top two. Might need to pit early onto the hard tyre. J and P5 closing in. Not by enough though. Axis, he's got Smokey for company. This Alfa Romeo looks pretty damn fast right now. Down the inside, into turn 4 again. No contact this time around. They leave each other plenty of space. With that outside line, Axis has the traction, has the speed to hang on to P7. Down the hill and around turn 8. Oh, Smokey gets oh so close to the back end of that AlphaTauri. Thankfully though, they don't make contact as they go through turns 9 and 10. Alright, seems that the race is settling down a little bit. Got distinctive groups forming. With the leading 3, then we got this little group between JBH and Jay. Just behind is Captain Schmeg as well, 3.3 seconds behind. Wonder if he's got the speed to try and catch up. Going to see a change for the lead again. Blockman in front, Rebel down to P2, KD in 3rd. Jay closing in. It's not going to be by enough. Sadie's still hanging on to 4th. 3.5 seconds back is Captain Schmeck, so he's going to lose a fair chunk of time down the long straightaways here. Through the corners though, he might be able to claw back a few tenths here and there. Running wide is Axis. Huge moment through turn 3. Thankfully though, his little incident didn't result in him going into a barrier. Keeping that car on the black stuff and hanging on to P7. Let's have a look at the battery life for these guys. And look at that, Jay on 98%. So that suggests to me that Jay's quite comfortable sitting behind the Mercedes for the long run. He doesn't want to battle just yet. Just wants to consolidate. Maybe he might realise that his battle is for 4th. Maybe challenging the top 3 is a bit of a long shot. So he's saving battery. Compared to JBH, he's got decent amount, 44%, that's plenty. But it's not the same as having a full charge. So Jay's just playing a longer game here, biding his time. Compared that to Captain Schmeg, who's doing all this hard work by himself. He's only got 9% battery. Again, a change for the lead. So these two are just working together for the moment. Pulling each other away from KD in third. It's smart driving, sensible driving. Jay closing in again. JBH defending the inside line. As Drag King gets by Nanda. That is for 13th position. Down the inside goes Jay, and he backs out of it. He doesn't want to battle. He just wants to chill out for a bit. Sit behind, save up the battery, wait for the right moment to try and send it. Meanwhile, behind, Axis has built up a bit of a margin to Smokey, so he'll be focusing forward now, trying to catch up to Captain Schmeg in P6. And in front, two Alpines, half a second apart. They've got 3.2 seconds to KD in third position. It's a really, really healthy size gap. They're doing well. I will be curious to see when these guys elect to pit. Who will take the earlier stop? Who will take the later stop? Rebel lets Blockman through again. Goes back and forth as KD doing the best he can. Got overtake switched on for some reason, as Captain Schmeg has now left the session. Man, people aren't staying in this session for a very long time. They're DCing. Alright, seeing as we're in a bit of a lull period, I might try and find him. Should have him as a friend, don't I? Maybe he's appearing offline. It'd have to be. Wait, do I not have him as a friend? Huh. Well, I'll be. Well, you'll have to send a request, I suppose, then. Hopefully you'll be able to find his way back in. There goes Axis moving by the AI of Captain Schmeg. Down towards turn 14 and 15. Rebel moves back by Blockman. Again, they're just working together. When will Jay pull the plug though? How long is he going to stay behind the Mercedes? Well, he's going to have a crack here down the inside into turn 1. Gets in front. A tidy move. A lot of respect being shown. Big old wiggle there from JBH. So Jay moves into 4th place. Nicely done. Now, Captain Schmeg found his way back in. No, he hasn't. I'll double check the list, see if I can't find him. Because I could have swore I do have him as a friend. No, I don't. What about in here? Yeah, go away. No, don't have him in here either. I'm surprised. Captain Schmeg has been able to rejoin though. He's found a way. He'll eventually get back behind the wheel of his car, but he's now down in 9th position. Change for the lead again. Look at that gap, 4.6 seconds. KD's completely out of battery as well. He has spent all of it. Spent no time trying to recover that battery. Jay 7.1 seconds behind. KD's got all the battery in the world to use. Just use a little bit there, just trying to pull away from JBH. Unlucky. Saucy. I was wondering where you are. Because, yeah, you're typically pretty consistent doing league races. Notice you checked in, so it's a shame. But for now, not really much going on. Two leaders are working together. KD is hanging in there in third. He'll be just hoping he finishes on the podium. It's nice to be back. Saucy. Yellow's out. Who's up for? Parker's around. That's at turn 8. No damage. He just lost a little bit of time, a little bit of ground. Down to P11. Yeah, we're entering a bit of a lull period. Just everyone's fairly well spread out, and everyone's on the same strategy. KD pits in. He's going for a decent-sized undercut on the race leaders. It's the only chance he has at trying to get back at the front of the field, at the very, very front of the field, as JBH goes down the inside of Jay and moves back into what is currently third position. You can see Jay has all the battery in the world to use. With DRS, he moves back by at turn 4. JBH is not giving up, though. Moves around the outside. We'll head into the S's now. They're not giving in. Round turn 7. Neat little battle, that. JBH hangs on to third. Good driving from both of them. Good stuff. KD in 7th position now on the hard compound tyre. He's got 2.8 seconds to the car ahead. Now, this is the problem with undercutting. Getting yourself into traffic. Now, he's got a bit of clear air for now, but eventually he will catch up to Smokey. And Smokey's on the hards. So guess what? He's going long in his first stint. So KD has to find a way through. Won't be the easiest task in the world. Alright, back to this battle. 0.4 of a second is the gap as Blockman pits. So, Blockman pitting early, covering off the undercut that KD is attempting. Rebel is staying out for another lap. Oh, really? I'll have to have a look at the Discord then in a moment. Keep our eyes on this though. It's a neat little battle, this, between JBH and Jay. Got two very different mindsets going on. As Blockman gets in front of Smokey. Well in front of KD. So, yeah. I think at this point now, with the advantageous position that both Alpine cars are in right now, KD will probably have to just consolidate, accept third place, get the car to the end of the race. That'll be his biggest goal. Smokey here. He now has Ferrari closing in fairly quickly, I might add. You can see that carpet of rubber at turn 8. Many people locking up into that braking zone. See a similar one here through 9 and 10, I imagine. Yeah, look at all that rubber being laid down. Oh, gee whiz. KD running wide there at turns 9 and 10. Got back onto the racetrack. Didn't lose too much time to Smokey in P6. Meanwhile, Rebel pits. So the race leader is in. He'll be moving on to the hard compound tyre. He'll finish the race on that tyre. Alright, JBH is in. Jay stays out. Interesting play. They're not pitting in at the same time. Blockman, Axis side by side, down into turn 1. Moving past the AI of Nanda. He's been unable to rejoin. Seems. KD gets in front of Smokey as well. Blockman trying to find a way through here. Looking around the outside at turn 4. Should have the grip and the speed to move through. He does. So up into second position for Blockman. Rebel with the overcut has lost a little bit of time to his teammate. Just a little bit. Still got a healthy size margin to KD though. That's the most important margin for the two Alpine drivers to worry about. Meanwhile, Rebel is closing in on Axis. Maybe Axis will try and stretch these mediums and hop on to a set of softs. Yeah, that is true. Scottish Duffy. Jay doesn't pit soon. He will lose positions. He will lose positions to JBH, but he has spent a fair chunk of his battery. Remember, he was up running in the 70s. He's now down to 45, so he's really pushed. He used a fair chunk of his resources to try and stay in front of JBH. Smokey, 5-second penalty for speeding. Where is the Merc? There he is. This is going to be pretty tight between Jay and JBH. There he is. Into turn 1 we go. Jay down the inside. JBH round the outside. That turns to the inside at turn 2. Good stuff. So JBH gets in front, but it's going to be business as usual between these two. And that battery saving earlier in the race allowed Jay to really push hard when he was by himself. Keep himself in this battle with the Mercedes of JBH. Good stuff. Really good stuff. Now, Captain Schmeg got Little Mick behind. Little Mick on medium compound tyres. He's set to go to the end of the race on these. Where can he find a way through? Parker, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Go around turns 9 and 10 and onto the back straight away. DRS open. Using a fair chunk of overtake too. Rebel sets a new fastest lap. And Mick moves into the top 10. Jay in 5th position. Half a second behind. Not using too much battery. DRS wide open, closing the gap with the raw power of DRS. You'll probably do what he did a fair few laps ago. Just sit behind JBH, save up that battery, and set up the battle so he's got all the cards. He's got the battery life, he's got DRS. He'll have fresher tyres too. It will only be a slight difference. It's only 1 lap in terms of difference. But it will be an important factor to keep an eye out for. In terms of penalties, Duffy. So we have 5 seconds for Smokey. That happened a few moments ago. He was caught speeding. Both Drag King and Parker have 3 seconds for track limit violations. There goes Nanda's AI. He's been unable to find a way in. So hopefully he can at some point. Otherwise, at this rate, he probably won't be classified in the final results. You need to drive in the lobby for a certain amount of time in order to be classified. Rebels setting fastest laps, closing in on his teammate. He's actually going to pass his teammate down the main straight. So those two are still working together. I wonder though at what point do they stop working together? Like, who will go for the win? Will they both try and go for it? Will they sort it out amongst themselves? Here we go. Jay looking around the outside. JBH covered the inside line a little bit there. Just saying, hey, don't do that. Don't go to the inside of me. Jay with DRS open again, closing the gap. Has a look down the inside here. And just waiting. Yeah, a few drivers aren't looking particularly great. Like Bowler in 7th position with 17 lap-old mediums. He's going to keep pushing on those tyres and hop onto the softs and go to the end on those, and he'd be hoping to do the best he can. Ideal scenario at this point in the race is a safety car. That way everyone will more than likely pit onto the soft tyre and send it for the final stint of the race. That will be Black Baller's best situation he could possibly hope for, is a safety car. So there goes Nanda's AI. Yeah. Blockman gets by Rebel. J behind JBH. Might go for it this time around. He's close. Oh, look at that acceleration from Mercedes there. Heading on to the straightaway. Just pulled out an extra tenth to J. Yeah, the likelihood is low for a safety car. It is low. Not impossible though, because the likelihood of a safety car at Austria was incredibly low until Rebel and Axis had that dramatic coming together on a straightaway. Resulting in Rebel's retirement and a safety car. So, unlikely? Absolutely. Impossible? Never. There's always a chance. Still saving up his battery, Jay, compared to JBH on 35%. That's still enough. That's still enough. First gear. I'll be damned. About the first driver I've seen use first gear through that corner. First gear through turn 10. Alright. These two. Back and forth, back and forth. Been a very, very dominant display from this Alpine team. Rebel moves back through. Oh, overshoots turn 1. Moves into the lead. KD 6 seconds behind, but he's got a really comfortable margin to JBH, and that's an interesting point because JBH does have a yellow fuel icon on that telemetry, so he is running pretty even on fuel. Oh, I can't tell if that's a minus or a plus on that steering wheel. Used to be a lot easier to tell. I'm guessing if the icon is yellow, typically that means he's on 0.00 or just under that. So I think that's a minus 0.3. So yeah, JBH is running a tad bit tight on fuel. He might be able to get it back. In regards to KD, Mr. Jack, he's had a little moment at turn 9, but that's really about it. No, it's just the two Alpines have been working together so much, and with their natural pace, they've established that margin. 6.5 seconds. You will see it here. Blockman will close in. Switches on the overtake as well. This is what they've been doing all race. Back and forth the whole time. And look at that gap. 7.2 seconds. KD has bothered to save any battery. He's been using all the battery all the time. But at this point, yeah, he'd be pretty comfortable with P3. KBH migrating host. Blockman has left the session. Rebels left the session. The two Alpines have DC'd. What? Oh, fudgesicles. Well, I better get on this then. I'll be able to invite one of them in, I think. That's Rebel. I don't think I have the other one. Oh, goodness. Where are you? Blocked, man. He's offline. Of course you're appearing offline. Well, here comes KD. Okay, well, luckily I know I have these two as friends. I would have invited Nanda back in, but I'm almost certain I don't have him as a friend. Well, this completely changes the complexion of this race. KD's been given a free kick. And he is closing in. I am so bewildered on how many people have dropped out. I'm bewildered I'm still in the lobby. Well, watch me curse myself now. Well, KD is going to move through into the race lead with 8 laps to go. Drama, folks. That's all this race has been. Just drama. A bit of racing here and there, but all the major talking points about this race has been collisions, impeded laps, as Blockman rejoins the session, so I hope that invite of mine worked. Just waiting on Rebel, I suppose. I'm 15 seconds ahead of KD. You aren't in my lobby anymore. You sure? Well, this is going to get real messed up towards the end of the race, because apparently I'm not in the right lobby. Rebel has joined the session. Or are you just trying to pull my leg? Well, there's Blockman. He's back in control. I only just caught onto that. I reckon you're just trying to pull my leg. Yes, you have. We had 2 separate lobbies going. Ah, yes. Right. Well. Yeah, welcome bags. Drama. Okay, so Katie's in the lead. Blockman's in P2. Rebels P3. They have got 7 laps to catch up. Okay, I am complete. This entire race I've been in. I'm going to go back to this. This is the only battle where I haven't been lost in. This battle makes complete sense. And look at Jay. He's got all the battery in the world. JBH is still hanging on though. Good stuff. Vitals and Drag King. What are you two up to? Battling away. Drag King will have an opportunity here to go for position with DRS open. Move down the inside. Get in front. That's P10 for him. Parker right behind in P12 watching the show. As we go into the S's. Drag King with the inside line is able to get in front. Vital's trying to fight back through turn 7 but can't get close enough to do so. We'll stay in P11. Right, okay. It's all upside down. It's all sideways. It's all over the place with this race. KD leads by 4.8 with 6 laps to go. It's not at all KD's race. Blockman's going to have a lot of pace here. He's going to push hard to try and catch up. Jay moves in front of JBH finally. JBH has a look down the inside at 1. He's not giving in. And the two give each other just enough room. Good stuff. Jay moves through into 4th position. JBH down to 5th. And there's an Axis in P6 closing in. So this battle might turn into a 3-car fight. There won't be a restart. No, lads. Not this late. This is just how it works. This is racing sometimes. It gets all screwed up every so often. It happens more often on Codemaster games compared to others, but it does happen. It's just sort of how the cards fall. 5 lap or 4 points, hell yeah. Send it for the drama. Oh, a bit of a wiggle there for Blockman. He really needs to get a move on. KD's doing alright out there now. Still using all of the battery. He has not saved a single iota of battery. Wouldn't be chaos at all. No. I reckon for 5 laps everyone's going to be incredibly chill. There's going to be absolutely no incidents at all. Black Baller gets by Drag King. That's for P12. They're being out the penalties now. Tyres aren't much of a talking point anymore. It's about the penalties, especially for those in the mid-pack. Both Parker and Vitals both have the same number of penalties. So that's a genuine fight. The Black Baller's just behind. So he's set to gain at least a couple of positions and finish inside the top 10. With Smokey's 5 second, he's actually going to lose 2 positions to Captain Schmeg and Little Mick. Heavy rain, slicks only. Oh dear God. Here at Bahrain. That'll be an experience. As Vitals gets by Parker. That's for P10. 3.9 seconds is the gap. It's continuing to shrink. Blockman pushing as hard as he can. We'll bring up the lap data. 10.9 to the mid-sector. 10.1 for Blockman. These sector splits are going to become almightily important. Through the final 2 corners and onto the main straightaway. Flashing red lights still as KD is spending every bit of battery. 33.5 on that lap compared to Blockman with a 32.9. Down into turn 1. Through turn 2. Up the hill and around turn 3. Gap opened up just a little bit. Now it's starting to shrink again. Parker, another 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Well, that might end his battle against Vitals. KD to the first sector, 30.3. Blockman to the first sector, 30.1. And he's got Rebel closing in too, so the Alpine duo, they're pushing. Closing in on KD. Through turn 9, through turn 10. Big understeer there. Huge understeer for KD. Rejoins. He would have lost a fair chunk of time with that mistake. Feeling the pressure, no doubt, trying to hang on to this. He's been gifted an opportunity to try and win. Granted, he has a Haas right in front of him, providing one hell of a distraction. The gap shrinks to 3 seconds. Here comes the 2 Alpines onto the long straightaway. Here we go. Onto the main straightaway. Up towards the line. The leader will begin lap 27 of 29. 3 laps to go. Ah, I see what you did there, Beggs. Ha 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 ha. It's very, very funny. It's very funny. A disaster. Anyway, race. Axis moves through into 5th position. So he's going to get involved in this. He's going to try and challenge Jay for that 4th place. And Jay used a fair chunk of that battery. He's down to 29. Still has more than Axis though with 10. .7 seconds to gap between the top 2. Blockman still has a fair chunk of battery left in the tank, 30%, that he can try and splurge to try and catch up. KD does not have that same battery reserve. He has been using all of the battery all of the time. Stuff to save it strategy, just spend it all. Clock says to the first sector split, 10.4. Blockman, 10.1. 0.3 fast up until this point. Into the final 2 corners. 4th gear getting on the power. Eventually reaches full throttle. Alright, KD on lap 27 does a 33.4. Blockman does 32.9, half a second difference. And here comes Rebel. He's going to move through, so these two are going to have to work together here to try and catch up. The gap shrinks to 2.3. DRS open on Blockman's car, closing in on Rebel. He won't go for the move though. He will let Rebel lead. KD to the first timing intermediate, 30.3. Rebel, 29.7. Huge gains with the DRS assistance on the main straightaway. There's Capone's AI. Dawdling around, providing us brief distraction to our leading cars. On to the back straightaway, 1.9 seconds to gap. It continues to shrink. Will KD succumb to the pressure? Will he hang on? He's doing alright so far. Mistakes have been minimal. Clock says 10.6, 9.7, 9/10 faster on this lap so far. Rebel is dumping all of the battery. 1.6 seconds is the margin. Around the final two corners. Back onto the main straightaway. This is it. The final 3.3 miles of this Grand Prix is finally underway. Rebel, 1.5 seconds behind, lets his teammate through. Blockman, this has to be a mega lap to try and catch up to KD. 1.5 seconds, 1.4, a wiggle. Slight wiggle. Axis gets by Jay as well, round the outside at turn 1. They're side by side, heading through 2. Axis gets in front. Does he have DRS though? No, he does not. Jay will try and counter, heading round the outside at turn 4. He's got the line, he's got the position. Axis fights back. It's a side-by-side duel into the S's. Chucking it through. Jay hangs on, but only by just. And there's a huge slide from Axis there. Great save. It's 9/10 now. Time is running out for Blockman and for Rebel. They have driven superbly, but fate got in the way. KD's been gifted an opportunity, and he's giving it everything to try and hang on. 8.5 tenths. The margin should be enough, so long as KD doesn't make a mistake around the final two corners. Here we go, through 14. He gets through that, and around 15 unscathed. He hangs on. It's a tight finish, but it's KD, 1997, who wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. Blockman home in P2. Rebel in P3. Jay and Axis battling for 4th. They're wheel to wheel. Drag racing to the line. Who finishes 4th? It's Axis by the finest of margins. 0.003 of a second. JBH is out of fuel. The Mercedes is out of fuel. He ran out with only a few corners to go. Little Mick moves into P6. Captain Schmeg in 7th. Smokey in P8. And I think he'll hang on to it too. He does by 0.3 of a second. Black Vola will round out the top 10. Followed by... Oh, Parker's around. Vital's around. These two coming together at the final corner, it seems. Will Vital finish P11? He does. Followed by Drag King, our final finisher, in 13th position. Can you possibly believe it? 2 unbelievable finishes in a row, both under very different circumstances. It was a fine drive from our top 3 tonight, putting together a fantastic display. There you go, our race winner here in Bahrain is KD 1997. Alpine 2-3. They put together a fine display, Blockman and Rebel. But fate got in the way. So there you go. KD, our race winner. Here for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Blockman in P2, followed by Rebel in 3rd. Axis P4, JP5, Little Mick P6, Captain Schmeg in 7th, followed by Smokey in 8th, JBH 9th, and Black Baller rounds out the top 10. Vitals P11, followed by Parker, then Drag King. Capone and Nanda were unable to rejoin, if I'm not mistaken, so I'm not sure if they'll be classified. One driver who definitely isn't is 55 said he retired incredibly early, a voluntary retirement from him. But yeah, that's interesting. Because I'm looking at what you're saying, Rebel, and I kind of get what you're going on about. So you were still in some kind of lobby then. Like, at that very moment, it's sort of like the lobby split in two. Like, you and, I'm guessing, Blockman were in one, and I think everyone else was in the other. Because everyone else was still running, from what I could tell. I thought you were just pulling my leg, to be totally honest with you. But I'm now getting what you're saying. Interesting. Yeah, okay. That's okay. Like the two other guys still had connection in my lobby. It would have kicked them, then I accepted Block's invite. Yeah, okay. This is a new one. Like, I've been in some pretty screwed up lobbies before, but this is a major screwy worry. This was big. Like, because I can kind of understand what Rebel's going on about. Because I have experienced stuff like that where I'm in a lobby and then suddenly it seems like the majority of people disconnect. But I'm still there. But then I get informed, like usually the races I do, I'm paired up with a fair few people. They inform me that I've actually disconnected, but I'm still in the lobby. So I think I understand what you're talking about, Rebel. That is a peculiar one. Hopefully this will be a bit of an oddity. But knowing Codemasters, it probably isn't going to be. I imagine a fair bit of discussion is going to take place in regards to this, so excuse me. I think, folks, I will wrap everything up for today. A really strange race. That's what this was. It was strange. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. If we have trouble, we'll start fishing around. I think, yeah, with everything said and done, it's now time for us to end the stream. Congratulations again to our top three. And congratulations to KD, first win of the season. But, yeah, I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you everyone so much for watching. We'll see you next week for round 3 of the championship at Circuit Zandvoort for the Dutch Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.